Good morning, everybody. Some of the students requested me and demanded to make a video on the topic conditional sentences. The students are little bit confused about what is meant by conditional sentence. So today in this session I am going to clarify, I am going to discuss this significant topic from English grammar. Because in day-to-day communication, we need to utilize, we need to use the conditional sentences in our communication. And that's why understanding conditional sentence is a very significant point as far as English communication in English language is concerned. So today in this video, I'm going to clarify, I'm going to explain what is exactly conditional sentence meant. See, conditional sentence is a type of sentence that expresses a particular condition and also its potential consequences or result or effects. Normally, conditional sentence consists of two parts, and we call these two clauses. In the first clause, condition is expressed, and in the second clause, its result is given, or the possible consequences are given in the second clause. Normally, in day-to-day communication, we begin conditional sentence with the word if, okay, and then in the second clause of the conditional sentence, the outcome of that condition is expressed or given, okay. So I want to highlight here is that conditional sentence has two clauses. The first clause begins with either if, or there are so many words available in English language like unless, in case, provided that, as soon as, etc. So you may choose one of these words and you can construct conditional sentence. So my point here is that many students get confused while framing, while structuring the conditional sentence in English language. They face the problem while framing the conditional sentence when it comes to the use of correct tenses. Okay, because they face a lot of problems in which tense the first clause of the conditional sentence should be framed and in which tense the second clause should be. Students, it's very easy. See, when we need to express universal truths or some scientific facts, so at that time we have to use zero conditional sentence. See, there are different types of conditional sentences. The first type is zero conditional sentence. The second type is first conditional sentence. The third type is second conditional sentence, and fourth type is third conditional sentence, and the last one is mixed conditional sentence. So I am going to explain, I am going to clarify all these types of conditional sentence in different sessions or video. But today I am going to explain zero conditional sentence. What is meant by zero conditional sentence? See, when we have to, in some situations, in some contexts, express universal truths or scientific facts or some habitual actions we perform in our day-to-day life. So in that case, we have to use the first type, that is zero conditional sentence. So let me explain this first type, that is zero conditional sentence, with the help of example. For example, when we say, when we express universal truth or scientific facts or habitual actions, so we need to use simple present tense in both the clauses. The clause that begins with the word if, in this clause we need to use simple present tense, and in the second clause we will have the potential consequences or results or outcome of the condition that is expressed in the previous clause, I mean in the first clause. Okay. In the second clause also, we are going to use simple present tense, because in this conditional sentence we are going to express universal truth, and that's why when we express universal truth in the conditional sentence, we need to use simple present tense in both, in the previous clause also and in the second clause also. And most interestingly, let me tell you, when we write or when we use conditional sentence to express the universal truth, we use two clauses. I have already explained it. So the first clause that begins with if is subordinate clause, and the second clause in which the outcome or result or consequences are expressed. So this is main clause or principal clause. Okay, so let me provide you the best example in which the conditional sentence expresses the universal truth. For example, we heat water, it boils. See, in this sentence, this is conditional sentence. In this sentence, the first clause is if we heat water, it boils. If we heat water, it is subordinate clause. In this clause, I have used simple present tense. We heat water. Okay, this is the condition. If we heat water, what is going to happen? It is given in the second clause, in the main clause, principal clause. It boils. So this is universally accepted truth, isn't it? When the water is heated, it boils. It is universal fact. So my point here is that when we want to express universal truth with the help of conditional sentence, so in that case, when we frame conditional sentence, when we use two clauses, in both the clauses we use simple present tense, as I give you very best example. If we heat water, simple present tense, the condition is given in the first subordinate clause, and in the second main clause I also used simple present tense. It boils. Okay, so this is how, when we want to express universal truths, scientific facts, habitual actions, we have to use simple present tense in both the clauses of the conditional sentence. So I hope that you must have understood how to frame conditional sentence, which tense should be used in both the clauses while framing the conditional sentence. So let me give you one more example in which habitual action is expressed. For example, if we feel hungry, we eat food items. This is conditional sentence having two clauses. The first clause, that is subordinate clause, begins with if we feel hungry, we eat food items. If you observe carefully, the first clause is also in simple present tense, we feel hungry, and the second clause, that is the main clause which expresses the outcome, being hungry, result of being hungry, we eat food items. This is also in simple present tense. So students, so let me explain once again. When we frame conditional sentence that begins with if, and if we want to express some universal truths, some scientific facts or habitual actions, so we must use simple present tense in both the clauses, subordinate clause that begins with if and main or principal clause that is the subordinate clause. Okay, so I hope you must have understood the first type of the conditional sentence, that is zero conditional sentence. Okay, so let me revise what is meant by zero conditional sentence. Zero conditional sentence is that sentence in which we express universal truths, some scientific facts, or some habitual actions. In this type, in both the clauses, we use simple present tense as I used in the first sentence. If we heat water, it boils. Zero conditional sentence. Scientific fact or universal truth. Okay. In the second example, I told you if we feel hungry, we eat food items. Habitual action or universal truth. Isn't it? And in both the clauses, we have utilized simple present tense. We feel hungry, simple present tense. We eat food items, simple present tense. So when universal truths, habitual actions, scientific facts are expressed with the help of simple present tense in both the clauses, that is called zero conditional sentence. Okay. So in the next session, in the next video, I will explain what is meant by first conditional sentence. Okay, so I hope you must have understood what is meant by conditional sentence, what is meant by zero conditional sentence, which type of tenses we use in zero conditional sentence. So thank you. I will come back in the next video with the topic first conditional sentence. Thank you.